Well, hello there. Glad you could join me, Joseph Craven, here tonight on SSD Game Night. We hope that it is okay for you to watch. I don't know. We're going to be going over Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, a game that I first played about 20 years ago. Now, if anyone is experiencing significant amounts of lag or anything, let me know. I'll see if I can adjust any of the settings here, because I've been trying to fix some of the stuff that's been going on that's been getting in the way of having a smooth stream, and hopefully we are past all of that, but we shall see. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm going to go ahead and explain why. Well, first and foremost, I might as well just go ahead and show you. Hey, look, there it is. There's the game. There's the gray-haired old man, which isn't creepy at all. Some dude just wants you to wander into his room. Ogre Battle 64 is a game that I first played almost 20 years ago, and because it came out in 1999, and I played it probably around 99 or 2000. And this is, I don't know what inspired me to go back and play this again not long ago. I played it 18, 19 years ago. I purchased it. My character's name is Randy Savage, as it should be. I purchased it again sometime when I was in college, working a summer camp job, oddly enough, with M. Scotter, who's in the live chat. And I kind of just sped through it. I got it originally, 19 years ago or so, because I really liked the character designs. I saw pictures of it, and I was very intrigued by this. I ended up buying the Prima strategy guide for it. I think before I bought the game, before I had the game, I had the strategy guide, which probably says a lot about how strange I was when I was younger. So there you go. And I wanted to play it again at some point in time, and not too long ago I was going through some of the old Nintendo 64 games and decided I'd try it again. And I realized while doing a little bit of research that I pretty much had played the game entirely wrong 20 years ago. I had really messed it up, and I decided I needed to do a live stream explaining how I had played it so poorly some 20-something years ago. First of all, anyone in the live chat, has anyone ever played this game before? The thing that's really, I want to know if anyone else has played this, because if so, you're probably fully aware of the Chaos Frame. I was not aware of the Chaos Frame when I first played it. I sped through the game as a child, and yeah, the only guide that I had, as David Cott has pointed out, was the Prima strategy guide. And as you're probably used to with the Prima strategy guides, those things can sometimes be really accurate, but most of the time they miss a lot of details. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's just not present in the Prima strategy guides. So, which is, pretty lame, because when I was a kid, that's all I had. We didn't really, I didn't really just log into my parents' AOL account and, look up all the secrets of the video games back then like I can do now. So while researching this, some of the side characters, special characters you can get, I realized that little kid me was completely unaware of an entire hidden morality system in the game. And now that, and I think one of the reasons why I'm going back and playing some of the favorites of all time is, tomorrow I turn 30, so I think I'm grappling with the fact that I'm, no looking back, I'm what people would consider an adult now, and it depresses me. So I'm trying to relive my childhood best I can. So let me explain to you first how this game works. The Ogre Battle games are highly detailed, primarily tactical games. And I mean highly detailed. So there's a lot of planning and strategy that goes into even preparing to get into a battle. You'll see right here that the way it is broken up, you have these units of characters. Unit number 1, unit number 2, unit number 3. And then you have characters in there. There's our main character, Randy Savage. He's teamed up with somebody named Francois, Eva, Kane, Noah. Down here, you got a unit leader. Each unit has to have a leader. This guy's name is Dietrich. He's got soldiers. Those are just generic guys. But you got to have them because they eventually turn into actual characters such as Dyson and Admiral Akbar. Nice. This guy's name is Akbar. Let's just go ahead and do him a favor, actually. How do you abbreviate Admiral? Is it ADM? Is that right? Somebody can correct me. But this guy needs to now be named Admiral Akbar. Oops. Yeah, David, I'm ancient. I'm going to guess Admiral Akbar. That's how you do that. So, battle consists of basically setting up your characters and your units in particular formations to maximize how effective they are in combat. You don't directly control combat. You tell units where to go. You tell units, what to do. But once they get into combat, basically everyone has a certain amount of skill, a certain set of skills, and a certain amount of turns, attacks that they can do per round of combat. And then after everyone's rounds are up, whoever did the most damage wins that round. So, already fairly strange, I think. A different sort of setup. So, you'll notice right here, let's just say you're eyeballing this and you've never played this game before. This guy, he's a knight, so it looks like he should be up here in the front row of combat, right? This is the front row, this is the middle row, and this is the back row. Well, these fighters are back here in the back row, which is kind of strange if you think about dudes with swords. They probably should not be back there. That's probably something more set up, for like these Amazons, which are your ranged attackers. So what we're going to want to do is adjust the formation. So let's put these Amazons back here, and you'll notice if you look at Francois's name up here, it says shoot ×2. If we put her back up here, it drops down to 1. That means per every round of combat, she only attacks 1 time, but in the back row, she attacks twice. So you want your archers in the back row. Kane and Noah, you notice slash ×2, you move them back, and it becomes 1. So you want fighters in the front row, archers in the back. Now, your main character, Randy Savage, depending on what he's got equipped, his name in the game is actually Magnus. That's the canon name. But canon names here on Super Squad D are either Mayor McCheese or Randy Savage. Those are the rules. If we gave him a blessed sword, you'd see that in the back row, he suddenly switches to healing instead of slashing. So let's put him as a healing unit so that we can get a little bit more, repair done back there. Can't change that. This guy... Alright, we don't have any more blessed swords. We can give Dietrich some better armor, though. And down here, once again, we've got a witch and 2 archers, and then these little soldiers. These soldiers are weak. These soldiers are doo-doo. These soldiers exist to eventually grow into actual characters. Archers go in the back. A witch also is going to need to be in the back. Now you'll notice she doesn't have any real protection. It's a couple of ranged people and then these weak little soldiers. So what we really probably should do is switch one of these ranged people with a unit that doesn't have a ranged person. Once again, you're doing all this prep and strategy work beforehand. So it's not like a Final Fantasy RPG where you have a random encounter and then you go through and have to... We'll keep Admiral Akbar in here. Where after a random encounter, you go through and you choose all these individual, attacks and everything. No, it's not quite like that. Let's put all them over here so that these guys in the front row can be a shield for everyone in the back. So that's what we're working with. So we've set all of this up. We've got these units here now. Okay. Quick RPG you know, let's see, quick RPG refresher course, you'll see an alignment meter kind of right next to you. Got your strength, dexterity, agility, all that, and you see the alignment meter there. Now, I mean, if you're familiar with any sort of RPG, then you're going to be familiar with lawful versus chaotic as your go-to alignment, right? Lawful versus chaotic is, I mean, it's common in any sort of, all right, lawful versus chaotic is common in any sort of RPG. It's, you know, any Dungeons and Dragons character building, whatever, is going to be lawful, chaotic. You understand that concept probably. In this game, it's no different. Now, what's interesting about this is that if you're a lawful group of characters, you tend to rub off on the other characters. So that if you have a unit that has a whole bunch of lawful characters, everyone kind of starts in the middle, but, you know, witches have to be more on the chaotic side. If you have a group that's mostly witches and other chaotic units, then everyone starts becoming more chaotic. You have a group that's mostly like clerics that heal, and other lawful units, they especially start dragging people up. So units as a whole tend to gravitate lawful or chaotic. Hardly anyone really stays neutral. This is important because I understood that from like a, you know, putting your class together sort of way. I understood that when I was younger. What I didn't understand is that there is an underlying morality meter that you cannot detect that is called the chaos frame. All right. The chaos frame is this strange, unique, almost entirely undetectable morality meter that basically runs in the background and tells you whether or not you're making good or bad choices. Not uncommon for anyone who's playing an RPG. You know, the notable thing here is that this one is not really dependent on dialogue options. Unless you have like a Game Shark and can look into the coding of the game, it's hard. You can't really directly track where you are on the chaos frame. Somewhere around mission 13 or 14, you fight an archer named Lytle. And I remember when I was younger playing, I fought against Lytle, and at the end of the battle, Lytle was like, hey, let's talk for a minute. And basically gives you a warning about like your army having a reputation. And then she leaves. And I always thought it was very strange that they put this character in there who existed solely to say, hey, I think your army has a bit of a reputation, and then disappear. But that's what Lytle was. As it turns out, what had happened was Lytle will join your army if you err more towards the lawful end of the chaos frame morality meter that you can't keep track of actively. And if you're on the lower end, she leaves. I didn't know this, so she left, and I had no idea why. Turns out it's because I had been playing the game super evil and never knew it. Whoops. Bit of freezing on the stream. Yeah, I was curious about whether or not that was happening. I'm trying to see if the internet at my house for some reason has been quite up and down today. So we'll see if this freezing and lagging and everything on the stream continues, or if things kind of pull themselves together a little bit. Oh yeah, so in games such as Skyrim, Fallout, in these sort of games, you know, you have dialogue choices that affect whether you're doing something good or evil, lawful or chaotic. Um, and that's not really the case here because there's very little dialogue. Here's the question: if there's a little bit of this lag and freezing, is it enough to warrant trying a different streaming service, like if we all moved over to Twitch, or is this watchable enough? That's the main question. Answer me in the live chat before we continue. The way that you get either lawful or chaotic, good or evil choices in here actually comes down to how you interact with these strongholds or towns on the battlefield. So this interaction with Lytle around mission 1314 is actually your first indication of where you sit on the chaos frame, if you're more lawful, if you're more chaotic. Well, we will now see whether or not this has fixed any issues.